Robb Pearlman has written over 70 books for franchises all over the pop culture spectrum. His work embraces all the fandoms of nerd culture, from the Smurfs to Bob Ross and Richard Simmons to Star Trek. It's easy to feel his love and enthusiasm for the characters he writes, when even the titles can bring a smile to your face.
I think every author brings their own personality and perspective to everything they're working on. If it's a media tie-in book, you have to honor those characters that have been established. What I try to do then is give my perspective, my take on it, to allow people the opportunity to experience those characters in a way that they haven't necessarily done before in a book, which, could be interactive, it could be familial, it could be, in a group setting, it could be alone. I really like giving people a break from the world and sometimes giving them the kinds of books that I wish that I had when I was a kid, or as a fan, the kind of books that I would love to see out there. So I think it's just my perspective on certain pop culture things or trends that are happening, or just, hey, this is the thing I've been thinking about. Maybe someone else will be thinking about it too.
When creating so many different characters and worlds, how does Robb keep things organized?
The process is sometimes different depending on what the book is. If it's something tied into a specific piece of media, like an adaptation of an episode, you have those guardrails that you have to follow a little bit. If it's a completely original story based on known characters, there are guardrails, but you have a little bit more fun in the playbox to chart your own path, as long as you're on brand for what the characters would do. If it's a completely original work, it's all in my head. And sometimes it's helpful to plot it out because you have to know where you're going. But, sometimes characters will take you in really interesting places that you didn't think. So you have to be nimble enough to be able to listen to what's going on in the story and not be so married to your one direction where you're not at least willing to contemplate taking a little bit of a detour.
With such a freestyle manner of writing, has he ever experienced writer's block?
I do experience writer's block. I used to try to fight through it and just write something. And I found that what I was doing was kind of abusive to myself, because what was coming out of those sessions was not up to the standard that I would have wanted it to be. It's not good. It felt forced. What I've been trying to do is, if I do have writer's block and I'm staring at that blank page, I think, this is just not the hour for me to get this out. I know I have to do it and I know what the deadline is, but this hour, I can't do it. I need to think of something else or work on a different project. And then when it feels right and it feels natural, then I can come back to it with a little bit of a more relaxed stance on it. And I find I'm more productive that way. Sometimes a friend of mine who's a writer had posted to Twitter, it's like, sometimes you just have to understand that today's not a writing day. It may be a cleaning the kitchen day, or maybe doing something else, but it's understanding your limitations and when you're feeling the most productive and sort of honoring that.
What inspires Robb to begin a new project?
Sometimes my inspiration is hearing something or seeing something that I think needs to be addressed in an age-appropriate form for kids. Sometimes it's creating a book for me because I wished I had this book when I was a kid. When I was writing Live Like a Vulcan, Love Like a Wookiee, Laugh Like a Hobbit, which is better living through pop culture, I'm a pop culture fan. And I wanted some sort of avenue to explore everything that we've learned from pop culture and how we integrate that into our lives. So in a little way, that was for me, but it's also inviting people into the tent and thinking, this is a great thing. Here's my take on it. I hope you enjoy it too. So, inspiration can come from anywhere. It could be overhearing a conversation or seeing something on the road and thinking, oh, I wonder if this is a story. And then working on it for weeks and months and years.
As a successful author with so many books to his name, what advice would Robb give to novice writers?
The hardest thing is just to start. And if you think you've got a story in you or stories in you, sit down and start writing them down. And again, sometimes it may not be the hour to do that. The physical act of sitting there and thinking about things and getting it down on a computer screen or a piece of paper that leads you to everything else that follows. I don't necessarily write because I want to, I write because I have to. And I think a lot of people experience that, but they're afraid, or they're a little wary about what people are going to think. And to heck with that. Sometimes you just have to write something because it's for you. So just write.
Baltimore County Public Library met Robb Pearlman and other authors at Shore Leave 43 in Hunt Valley, Maryland.
Every con has its own personality. Some are bigger, some are smaller. This seems a really great size to have really one-on-one interesting conversations with fans and like-minded people, which is really great. I think that the panel discussions have been really interesting because they're manageable, and the pros that they have here, including me, are real experts in their field and provide their own perspective and experiences throughout the whole thing. And everyone's just been incredibly kind and nice, and that's great for any con.
For more information about Shore Leave, go to www.shore-leave.com.